What does this earthen wall in Gaza have to do with what's happening in Lebanon? These new satellite images show a 6-kilometer-long earthen wall in Gaza, running from southwest to northeast, built by Israeli military, the IDF. It runs along the so-called Yellow Line, a military demarcation line. IDF troops withdrew to that line in October 2025 under the ceasefire agreement brokered by the Trump administration. That line now appears to give the IDF control over more than half of the Gaza Strip.
They were not invading Gaza in order to have a renegotiated ceasefire or conventional military victory, but really to impose a new security regime, whatever that took. And the ceasefire that's been in effect now for several months didn't really resolve anything. So they are convinced that they will have to stay, and they will have to stay in half of Gaza. And this is indefinite. It may not be permanent, but it may last a very long time.
The IDF has also built up military posts across the area in Gaza. They all follow a similar design, rectangular, surrounded by large earthen ramparts and partially paved in the center. But what is their purpose?
There's no accepted 21st century vocabulary for what they're trying to do. It looks like something that almost belongs to the pre-nation state era, what in English we call marches, or what were called marches in the Middle Ages, these sort of frontier zones where an empire continues to have some kind of security control but doesn't try to rule or govern directly. And that's what Gaza is beginning to look like, and that's what South Lebanon is beginning to look like.
So what's happening in Lebanon? In early March, the IDF launched a ground assault into Lebanon following rocket attacks by the Iran-backed militia Hezbollah. Israel says it intends to create a buffer zone in southern Lebanon up to the Litani River. It's been reported Israel's military has destroyed villages and infrastructure in Lebanon in the process. Over 1 million people have been displaced so far.
מה שאנחנו רואים זה שאנחנו סיכלנו את איום הפלישה מלבנון באמצעות רצועת הביטחון הזאת, מרחיקים את סכנת ירי הנ"ט וגם מטפלים בתמ"ס.
Israel's security zones have become a cornerstone of its security strategy, especially since the shock of October 7 terror attack. Not only in Lebanon and Gaza, but also in Syria. The aim appears to be to push the lines of attacks further from Israel's borders.
In Israeli terms, this is not a war that will have a defined end or political resolution or settlement. This is an ongoing way in which Israel will have to protect its security within the region.
In short term, this strategy may improve security for Israelis. What could it mean in the long run?
It's a disaster, obviously, for the populations of Gaza, of South Lebanon, even now of the whole of Lebanon, certainly in Beirut. But it's also a disaster, I think, for Israel's international standing. And I think there may eventually be some Israeli domestic backlash. I think Israelis, most of them do feel that they live in a hostile region and have to take action. But I think they will begin to think that the cost is too high.